So obviously we supported the campaign to remain within the European Union throughout the referendum campaign, and since the referendum we put forward what we call special status for the North, which obviously voted to remain. 56% of citizens here voted to remain, so there's no consent for Brexit in Ireland, full stop. And we had campaigned then in regards of special status, working with our team in the European Parliament. They met and worked with colleagues across the EU 27 to bring to their attention the unique circumstances of here, and in particular the need to protect the Good Friday Agreement in whatever the outcome to the Brexit negotiations were. And that resulted then in the December joint declaration in 2017, a number of commitments being made by the EU 27 and the British government to protect the Good Friday Agreement, to prevent any hard border in the island of Ireland, and to protect the All-Ireland economy and North-South cooperation. And when we saw the original withdrawal agreement back last year, which had the backstop protocol in it, the backstop provided those protections and met those commitments. And so for us, anything that was being proposed other than that had to meet those same commitments. And the first set of proposals from Boris Johnson about a fortnight ago, they didn't, because obviously they were proposing border infrastructure, and also they were offering essentially a veto to unionists here in the Assembly, which was completely unacceptable to us. It was also unacceptable to the EU 27. So when this new protocol came forward, the changes that it amounted to, there would be no border infrastructure, so that met one of those challenges, and it also removed that veto. So in terms of meeting the commitments, it goes a long way to doing that. Obviously for us there's no such thing as a good Brexit, and anything is only mitigating the impact, and the reaction here has been that, exactly, from businesses, that yeah, this provides some solution, it's better than what was being proposed a fortnight ago, but it's still going to cause major problems here. So it's going to be in a customs arrangement with the rest of Britain, but it will apply the European Union's customs code. So it's going to be cumbersome and complex and bureaucratic for businesses, and that is going to cause difficulties in terms of east-west trade between Ireland and Britain, but it does essentially for us prevent a hard border on the island of Ireland, and that was one of our major priorities in terms of these negotiations. I think it doesn't impact the Good Friday Agreement, and a lot has been said, particularly by the DUP, who are seeking to muddy the waters as such around this issue of consent for the people here, giving consent to whatever happens in relation to the Brexit outcome. People here didn't consent to Brexit, so you know that's the mandate that needed to be respected, and it hasn't been respected in respect of the British government in the entire negotiation process. It essentially prevents a hard border, and it also protects that North-South cooperation and All-Ireland trade. So those are the essential elements for us that needed to be protected in all of this. So anything that took us out of the single market and the customs union was going to require some sort of infrastructure, and we heard all sorts of fairy tales about technological solutions and things like that haven't yet been invented. So we were very wary of any of those kind of proposals. The border is two things. It's bureaucratic and difficult and causes all sorts of problems and potential delays for traffic and things like that, but it's also psychological here. And the Good Friday Agreement, when it was signed in 1998, paved the way for the removal of a very hard border, and anything that would go back to that type of infrastructure would be damaging for people here and for relationships here. I think that the north of Ireland was completely ignored in the referendum campaign in Britain, despite my party and others making great representation about the damage that it potentially could do to here in respect of the Good Friday Agreement and the border. I recently read a speech that Martin McGuinness gave a week before the referendum in London, highlighting all the exact same issues that we have been highlighting since the referendum. So that was completely ignored and not listened to. The flip side of that has been the European Union, where we focused all of our attention in terms of ensuring there was an understanding of the circumstances of here and how integrated our supply chains are, how much movement there is back and forward across the border, tens of thousands of people cross the border every single day to go to work or to study, and how very important it was in terms of protecting the Good Friday Agreement, and in particular the North-South Cooperation Strand 2 of the Good Friday Agreement. And we worked with MEPs right across the European Parliament and with parliamentarians in all the various administrations of the European states to make sure that they understand that. And they did, and they listened. And hundreds, I imagine at this point, of MEPs and various MPs from the different EU states have now come to visit the border and to see how impractical any sort of infrastructure or hindrance to the cross-border movement would be. So I think that it was very much listened to between ourselves and the Irish government in terms of engaging with the EU 27, and that has been reflected in the joint declaration, in the original withdrawal agreement, and now of course in this new protocol, and in the very fact that it was one of the European Union's negotiating priorities. Ireland was one of the priorities. So I think, yep, it was heard there, but it was not listened to, and is still not being listened to in terms of the British government side. I suppose the first thing I would say in that respect would be the mandate of the people of the North who voted to remain should have been respected. And we put forward various solutions, both political and legal and academic proposals in terms of how that might happen, and we put forward proposals around continued representation in the European Parliament of MEPs from here, and none of those have really been properly incorporated. But what has been was that notion around special status, and what we propose has largely come to fruition in terms of the withdrawal agreement. I completely accept that the British people had the right to vote to leave the European Union, and however they want to do that is very much for the British people and for the British Parliament to negotiate with the EU 27 on their exit, but they don't have the right to drag the North out of the European Union against the will of the people here. And for us, there's a solution in terms of Irish unity, because the European Commission have said that if the people of the North vote to be part of United Ireland, then the North of Ireland will be, resubsumed back into the European Union. So that's a solution for us. But I really don't think it's for me to tell the British people how they should have negotiated Brexit, because, like I say, wish them well in how they do that. But it's the impact for here that is really our concern, and we have put forward our proposals, and we have argued a very strong case that has been reflected in the outcome. Now, obviously, it's not a good outcome for here, because the best outcome would be remain, and this is going to be cumbersome and complex and bureaucratic for business here. So Brexit has really very much changed the conversation here in terms of unity, and there are people who are looking at the prospect of being dragged out of the European Union, and even the prospect of a deal like this deal that is being proposed, which causes friction for east-west trade and will cause a lot of bureaucratic nightmares for people, and wondering, is that the best that we can expect, and that they are looking at how we can build a new and agreed Ireland. And those conversations are really important, and we need to have those debates and discussions and a proper planning process for all of that, and we very much want to see that happen. We believe the Irish government should be putting an effort into preparing for that, and we have called for that repeatedly, and I would like to think that in the near future there will be a date set for a referendum, and all of that discussion can continue. The way a referendum currently has to be called under the terms of the Good Friday Agreement, and of course the European institutions have very much upheld the Good Friday Agreement, and the unity referendum is one part of that, is that the British Secretary of State has to call a referendum, and he or she has to do that when he or she thinks that there is a majority in the North who would support Irish unity, and current opinion polls and election results and all of the kind of discussion that has been going on since Brexit would certainly point to that being the case. I know when Theresa May was Prime Minister, she said in a cabinet meeting that she wouldn't be confident that a referendum on Irish unity would result in people voting to remain in the United Kingdom. So if that's the view of the British government, well then it's really time for a referendum to be called.